Hello, everyone. This is going to be a recording that will update you on what's in Blackboard and what you would need to know to allow you to maneuver the course within Blackboard. So, what I want to do is get you acquainted with what's on the Getting Started page. I recommend that each of you actually take the time to actually complete this process and know where everything's at on the Getting Started page because I provided you with a lot of resources that will help you with this particular course. And then we'll take a look at what's in black to the left of the Getting Started page with where you can find some of the information. So you can see on the Getting Started page, of course, you have a copy of the course syllabi. I recommend that you click on that link and print your course syllabi out and put it in a binder. Also below that, the course schedule. You should have by now already received a link that talks about the course schedule outline and what's expected of you in the course schedule outline. Below that on the Getting Started page, of course, you have your pretest link. When you click on that, it'll say pretest. You just click pretest and you take and respond to the questions within the pretest. As I talked to you earlier, I mentioned that you may want to print out the pretest, and later on you can utilize your textbook to actually respond to the questions within the pretest that will prepare you when you get ready to take the post test. I am not looking for anyone to receive all right on the pre-test, but I do look for improvement on the post-test after you've had time to read the course material. Also on the Getting Started page, you'll see that I left you with my contact information. My office number is area code 843-745-1100. I recommend that you reach me by the cell. It's my personal cell, but I also use it for Limestone. So you definitely can reach me at 843-345-2224. There are times when students would call me and not leave their name or their reasons for calling. So I have no idea of who's calling me. So when you do call, and if I did not answer, just leave me your name. Tell me you're in course Social Work 206 and state your question and leave me a message and I'll call you back. So that way you will have instant contact with me. Below that, I provided you with a welcome letter. I also provided a photocopy of me in that. So if you clicked on that link, you'll see exactly who I am. Some of you may have already taken a course with me before, and then some of you may not. Sometimes it's important to put a face to the name for some people, and if that's you, then I went on and provide that also. This section is the example of the discussion section. I really want you to pay attention to this section because students tend to not respond with a reference in their discussion. So you can see this initial discussion talks about an individual and a worker, basically where a counselor is engaged in some unethical situations. So this person's initial response, which is due on Thursday, they said according to the NASW Code of Ethics 1996. So just be mindful, that's a reference. And so this person's saying that it's not ethical for a counselor to begin dating under section 1.9 talks about sexual relationship under the Code of Ethics. So this person tells me why it's not ethical, and then they provided me with a resource to prove that it's not ethically sound. Okay, and so this is what I mean when you need to provide me with a reference. Now I will probably post another example of a student reference later on for you to see exactly how it should be. But this is what I'm looking for when you post your discussion. Fail to give me a reference, I'm going to tell you, it's going to result in you receiving a lower grade because you're basically plagiarizing if you tell me something in the book and you didn't cite the book. Uh, so just be mindful of that. So this person not only provided me with one reference to Code of Ethics, they also talked about REMER, which is also deals with ethical responsibilities regarding former clients. So this person gave me two references to support that. Now let's look at this person's response to another person. So this person said hi, and you're going to name the person you're responding to, because I need to know exactly who you're responding to. So if I have to provide you with feedback, I can tell you exactly who I'm talking about in your post. This person said, I agree with your response that this is unethical. Okay, and this person says not only that it's a violation of 109, but this person is saying it's a violation of section 106 under the Code of Ethics. So when you're looking at conflict of interest, so you know you're dating one of your clients, which is not ethical, and it could create some harm to that particular client or to you. So just be mindful of that also. Let's look at the second response. So the second response was to another person. Now this person says, I agree, but I think sometimes it can be confusing. The Code of Ethics does say one thing, in South Carolina Code of Ethics requires something different. Okay, what this person is talking about is the NASW Code of Ethics compared to South Carolina Code of Ethics. Normally they are in a line with each other. It's just that with the South Carolina Code of Ethics, it talks a little bit different from the NASW Code of Ethics, but they're kind of saying the same. Now, what this person failed to do is give me the published date for the South Carolina Code of Ethics, what particular area that they were talking about, but they did reference something. So I just want you to have an understanding of that. Okay, on the Getting Started page, I also provide you with a discussion rubrics. So it kind of gives you an idea of what your spelling, grammar, spelling. You can lose points if you didn't follow APA and provide me with a reference. You can lose points. Your knowledge about the particular discussion or the topic is very important. You can lose points there, and thoughtful responses are very important also, because you took the time to respond to each of your peers. So again, you can lose points should you fail to actually address the discussion in this manner. So let's look at the next one. I provided you with a sample paper. I recommend that you print it. I not only provide you with one, but I provided you with two. One of it where the person talks about issues associated with gay and lesbian communities. The other paper talks about polygamy. And then, of course, I have another one that looks at the APA paper assignment as a whole. So I recommend that you click on those links and take a look at what I provided you there. I also provided you with an APA handout. For those of you who are not familiar with APA, again, if you're referencing an MLA, you may lose points because it's required that we use APA. So I provided you with some information about Safe Assign. In other words, that's where they look at whether you're plagiarizing your work or what have you. The APA writing tips, I provided you with some information about that. I also provided you with an APA template. I also provided you with library instruction resources, also a resource link that's provided to you, as I talked about in the Unit 1 section of what was required. I also provided you with another template for APA that you can look at, and also some writing samples that I provided you with. Okay, I also provided you with Purdue OWL. Some of you may be familiar with it. They're pretty thorough when it looks at writing in APA format. Just remember, when you do your paper, you should have headers, and you should be writing your resources or your information under those headers. Fail to do so, you may lose points, because I would have to find what section you're talking about within your paper. As we move on down, you can see you have your online course policies. I recommend you click on that link and take some time to read about it. I provided you with your coordinator's information. This is the person who designed this particular course. And then I provided you with some ways to take the proctoral exam. And we'll talk a little bit about that a little later on as we get into the getting started page. Okay, and then I provided what we call a faculty and course coordinator guidelines. And that's basically, you probably won't have access to that, but just know that it's there. Okay, so those are everything on the Getting Started page. I recommend each student take time to look at what's on the Getting Started page. Below that is a link to the syllabi. You don't need to click on that link because I already provided you with your syllabus on the Getting Started page. Okay, below that we have notification. From time to time, I post announcements for students with particular assignments. So you may receive one from me tomorrow that lists what's required for you under Unit 1. And we'll talk about that as we also look at Blackboard. So just be mindful of that. That I constantly post announcements. So when you sign into your course, my announcement will pop up for you to look at. Below that, you have your calendar. Under your calendar for this particular course would be all the assignments that's due per particular date. I recommend that students not only use the calendar, but they also use what's in the units as we go through the units through the weeks. Blackboard Messenger. Okay, that's my way of reaching you through this course. You should receive a link, a message from me with the links to the recording under Blackboard Messenger so that all students can actually be provided with the links that they can listen to my recording in regarding to what's expected of them for this particular course. Of course, every student know about my grades. That's where you'll see your graded assignment posted as you maneuver through the course. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is the APA paper. That's your paper that's going to be due. And if you look at your course schedule, it'll have the due date for your APA paper. So when you click on the APA paper, you'll find that this is what's going to be expected of you. This is where you're going to submit your attachment document for this assignment under the APA paper. That's where your final paper is due. And you can see I told you, I provided you with what's expected in the paper. Your heading, you should have an introductory heading. You should have a who and how heading. You should also have a conclusion heading. And when you look at your introduction, you're going to give me some information about your topic and how it's relevant to sexual factors influencing behavior. And then under who and how, you're going to give me the population you're talking about. If you're talking about same-sex marriage, then you're talking about individuals with the same sex. How are they affected? You may talk a little bit about the law and what the law provides. Then you're going to give me some information about the history under this section. So I'm going to be looking for 3 parts to this. When you write under this topic, I'm going to look for you introducing your population that's being impacted. I'm going to look for you telling me how they're affected. You're going to give me some information about the history of how this situation has been handled in the past. So that's what I'm going to be looking for under that heading. And then under conclusion, you're going to talk about how does the future of this issue look. So what it looks like for the future. So I'm going to be looking for this under these headings. Fail to provide those headings could result in you losing points. So I also, under the APA paper, provided you with paper rubrics. So I'm going to look at grammar, spelling. You're going to lose points. Organization. In other words, did you use header? Did you not use header? I'm going to look at APA. Did you use references? Did you cite references? And then I'm going to look at your knowledge of the subject that you're writing on. So this is going to be the guideline for your paper. So I recommend that on the Getting Started page, you take a look at the sample paper that's provided. Also be reminded that the sample paper doesn't mean that that's an A paper. It just means that that was a paper that was submitted in which that person actually passed or made a grade, a good grade. I wouldn't say it was an A paper, but I'll say that they made a good grade with that particular paper. So just be mindful of that. So this is where you're going to post your final paper assignment under APA. And if you look at the course schedule, it'll give you when it's due. And so you can see up here, when you click on it, it'll say this will be available to you after February 23rd. So this will open up to you after this date. For another course, it might be a Pacific day. So just be mindful of that. As we move on, the next link, if you click on it, it's your discussion. So you have a discussion for each week. So you have your introduction where you're going to sign on and introduce yourself to me, and you're going to tell me a little bit about that. You're going to tell me you reviewed the rubrics, okay? And it's going to list any questions you may have or acknowledge your understanding of what's expected of you with this particular assignment. Now, this is the first week, and you're also going to do Unit 1. And as I mentioned before, it talks about global gag rules. So just remember that you may have a newer textbook or you may have a later textbook, but then you need to just be thorough. And even though if you have an older textbook, it just means that it's either somewhere before or after the dates that's discussed in the course schedule. But just be mindful, your first discussion is going to look at global gag rules, and you need to reference what you post, and your initial post is due on Thursday, no later than 11:59, and your response to your peers will be due no later than Sunday at 11:59. After that, on that following Monday, you'll find that Unit 2 opens up, and so you have your discussion for Unit 2. Again, I recommend on the Getting Started page, you look at the sample of the discussion that I provided and how it's being referenced so that you can reference whatever you're posting. And so Unit 2 have a discussion and you're going to respond to. Fail to submit any of these assignments in a timely manner could result in you losing percentage in your 25%. So after Unit 2 close on that Sunday, you'll find that Unit 3 will open up on that Monday at 1 minute after that Sunday. You'll find that Unit 3 will open up, and you'll required to respond to the questions there. So to respond to these questions, you definitely have to read the textbook to actually thoroughly respond to the questions, and you have to reference your discussion posts. So just be mindful of that. And on Unit 3 discussion, you're going to be posting information about that. So each week you're going to have a discussion that you're going to be posting. So when discussion 3 closes, discussion 4 will open up 1 minute after 11:59 midnight that same Monday morning. You'll have another opening for another discussion. And you'll see this as we go through the units. And so just know that each week you will have a discussion post that you have to respond to. Your initial response to your post is due on Thursday. Your response to your peers is due no later than Sunday at 11:59. So your initial response is Thursday at 11:59, and your response to your peers is no later than Sunday at 11:59. So when you click on discussions, this is where you're going to be posting your discussions assignments there. So I recommend that you put it in Word and then just upload the document. Okay, let's look at tests and quizzes. Okay, here you'll see that you have also a link to the pretest. You have a link to quizzes 1 through 5. As I mentioned before, it's only to provide you with a study guide for the midterm. It won't count towards credit to your final grade. It's only to prepare you for your midterm and your final. So this quiz chapter is going to open up at the start of this course, and it's going to close the day before your midterm opens up. So just be mindful of that. So if I look at this particular chapter, it'll tell me, okay.
Important security message. Your computer has been locked up. Your IP address was used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contains identity theft virus. To unlock the computer, please call support immediately. Please do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer. Doing that may lead to data loss and identity theft. The computer lock is aimed to stop illegal activity. Please call our support immediately.
Okay, sorry for that. Evidently, it was something I clicked on that basically did not want me to review this information. But here again, you'll see that the information is there. You have 90 minutes to complete 50 questions. In addition to that, you will be taking the quizzes, and I reminded each one of you to actually print out those quizzes so that way you'll have a copy of it. Here again, you have quiz chapter 8, 6 through 8 that will also be available to you from the start of the course to one day before you're scheduled to do your midterm exam. So you will click on that link and take the quiz. You also have 90 minutes to do it, and you have basically 3 attempts to complete this. Until I figure out what's going on with the message I just received earlier, I need to go back and take a look at it and see what's going on. So just be mindful. You have 3 attempts to complete each one of these quizzes. Once you took your 3 attempts, that will be the end of that particular session opening up to you. So your midterm exam is going to be chapters 1 through 9, and you're going to have your quizzes for chapters 1 through 9. So if you print out each one of them, you will already have a written copy of the quizzes. You just have to answer it, and that'll be a study guide for you when you get to your midterm exam. All the questions from chapter 1 through 9 will not be on your midterm exam. There may be some, and then there may not be some. Again, your midterm exam is going to be open up to you. Even though it says it's given in 60 minutes, you have 90 minutes to take your midterm exam also. So just be mindful of that. Okay, after you take your midterm exam, the quiz chapter 10 through 12 will be available to you. And then you have the quiz from 13 to 15, and then 16 and 17, and then, of course, 18. Those quizzes will be available to you one day before you get ready to take your final exam. So it will not be available to you after that date. So just remember that you will have to complete your quizzes at least a day before you get ready to do your final exam. And your final exam is going to be from chapters 10 through 18. Your midterm is 1 through 9, and your final exam is going to be 10 through 18. This is to prepare you for the final exam. So all your quizzes will be available to you under tests and quizzes. Okay, most important part of it, Mindtap. So when you click on the link that says Mindtap, this is going to give you access to your textbook. So when you click on that, it'll tell you need to sign in with your sign-in password, and that'll give you access to your textbook. I have already signed into it, and so as you see when I clicked onto the link, you'll find that it's going to give me access to the textbook material. Okay, so here again, it's telling you a little bit about Mindtap and what you can do. You do have activities under Mindtap. It's up to you to complete some of those activities if you would like. It's not something that you have to do for this particular course because I provided you with quizzes to also prepare you for this particular course. Some students like doing the activities, and if you have the time, then feel free to do so. So this is just an example of what your textbook look like under Mindtap. So on the course link, you'll see under Mindtap textbook. That's where you're going to click to find your textbook information. Okay, Unit 1 under the course outline. As I told you before, each week you're going to be completing a unit. So this unit will open up on the 13th and it'll close on Sunday. So just be mindful that you have 1 week to read the chapters 1 and 2, answer discussion questions, review the syllabus, and respond to what's expected of you. There's a part here that talks about your introductory. You have your unit discussion question you have to answer that you're going to post under discussions. You also have your PowerPoints for chapter 1 and 2. So after that Sunday at 11:59, Unit 2 will open up to you where you're going to complete 3, 4, and 5 chapters. You're going to take the quiz for 1 through 5. So your first quiz is going to be available to you the first day of class, and it'll be available to you all the way up until the day before you're scheduled to take the midterm. Normally I put dates in here, but I thought it would be better just to leave it open for you. You have 3 opportunities to take it, and you just need to make sure you do it before it closes. You're also under Unit 2, you have your discussion board posts, and you have to complete your paper topic assignment where you're going to submit that under paper topic here. And so this is where you're going to post that. Remember, I told you you're going to give me what you're going to be writing on, same-sex marriage, and you're going to be looking at article so-and-so that talks about same-sex marriage. Article so-and-so talks a little bit about the law. Article so-and-so talks about past history, what have you. So in other words, you're giving me an outline of what you're going to write about and some of the references you're going to use. You don't have to give me all. You just have to give me a sense that you know what you're talking about. So that's Unit 2. Just remember, Unit 2 will close on that Sunday, and Unit 3 will open up at midnight that same day. So in Unit 3, you have chapters 6, 7, and 8. You also have the quiz for 6, 7, 8, and you have your discussion board posts. So this is just a resource. You're not going to post your discussion here. You're going to go under discussions and post your discussion. So after Unit 3 close on that Sunday, Unit 4 will open up at midnight. And so under Unit 4, you have Chapter 9. You have the quiz for Chapter 9. And the day before your quiz closes, you're going to have your midterm exam. So you're going to be taking your midterm exam during the time of Unit 4, and where that's located, you're going to find that your midterm is located under tests and quizzes. Okay, as we move forward, after that Sunday, you're going to have Unit 5. And under Unit 5, you see you have chapters 10, 11, 12. You have your quiz for 10, 11, 12, and you know when that's going to open up and when it closes. And then you have your discussion board post that's required of you under discussions, where you're going to submit it. Just remember, all your discussions need to be referenced. As we look at Unit 6, you'll see that you have chapters 13, 14, and 15. You have a quiz for chapter 13 through 15, and then you have a discussion board post in which you need to be responding to. As we look at Unit 7, as you look at that, you can see that you have to read chapter 16 and 17. You also have a quiz you have to complete by that date, closing date, and then you have a discussion board posting that you have to respond to. Now, when you look at your course schedule, it's going to give you a date when your paper is due, and that paper is going to be submitted under APA paper. So just be mindful of that. Unit 8 is your last chapter that you have to do. So again, you're going to have Unit 8 chapter, and you're going to have the quiz for Unit 8, and then you're going to have your your final exam that's going to be opening up one day after your quiz chapter closes. And so if you look at your course schedule, under Unit 8, you'll see the date when your final exam opens and when it closes. Of course, in Unit 8, all social work majors have to complete the post-test that's scheduled for this particular date. So just be mindful of that. This talks about everything that's in all the units. Again, I recommend that you look at the Getting Started page and the information I provided on the Getting Started page. You also be ready to look for announcements that I may be sending to you. This link, or 3 links, will be sent to you via email, and I will also post this link in the announcements section for you to review. So here again, listen to the recordings before you start the course. Have a thorough understanding of what's expected of you. As I mentioned before, do not email me any late assignments, because I will not grade it. All work that you submit needs to be submitted in the course room. So of course, if you submit a late assignment, you will no longer have access to do it in the course room. So therefore, do not email me late papers. Do not email me late discussion posts, because I won't look at them. All your work needs to be submitted in the course room. That does not mean that you can't call me and talk about why your assignment is late. Now, it's not fair to those who submit their assignment on time. So if, let's say, your computer died that day, well, I may say, okay, I'm going to allow you to resubmit this, but I can't give you 100%. The max I can give you for a late assignment is 80%, pending on the situation. It doesn't mean that because you tell me that you're going to get to submit a late paper, late assignment. So just be mindful of that. Also, on another note, that your quizzes are not counted towards credit for the grade. It's only to prepare you for your midterm and final. That concludes the discussion about Blackboard and where things are on Blackboard. Just remember also that your textbook is located under Mindtaps, under course requirement. You click on that link, you sign in, and you can have access to your textbook. What I like about the ebook is that you can click on chapter 1 while you're at home doing some work around the house, and it would read chapter 1 to you. So that way you can have an understanding of chapter 1. Sometimes that works good for some students, then sometimes it doesn't. Some students need to read the hard copy themselves. I just want you to know that under Mindtaps for your textbook, ebook do have that capability where it will read the chapters to you. So that's going to end my recording for Blackboard. So if you have any questions, write them down after you listen to this recording. Give me a call and we can talk about any questions that you may have. That concludes this recording.